just in case anybody else wants to see it. All right, cool. So thanks. I'm Rob. I've met each of you. I've been an official for a while, and I was lucky enough to work a lot with Ruth, who is really good at WebScorer because she lives in Charlottesville and I live in Harrisonburg, and she got me pretty comfortable with WebScorer. So I'd like to just kind of explain how to use WebScorer effectively for time trials, which I think is a great application for it. Like I said before, maybe later on, closer to cross season, we can do another training like this for cyclocross and stuff. But I want to make sure everybody knows that, I'm, even if I don't get assigned to an event, if you get assigned to an event and you just want some help with getting set up for WebScorer, because if we do training now and then maybe you don't get another time trial till next year, I'd be glad to kind of do a training session like this, even if I'm not working the race, to help you set up, because the success of Virginia cycling is what we're all here for, not who gets assigned to the events and everything. So what I will do now is share my screen, and my screen should be coming up now. Okay, so now I'm sharing my screen, and so first thing I want to talk about is a couple of tips. Did we lose Carolyn? Give her a minute to come back. Pete mentioned one thing before when we were talking is, WebScorer is something that you need to do, before the event. You can't show up the day of the event and think that you're going to be successful at doing WebScorer. It's going to be something that you're going to have to do, before the event a couple times. What I like to do is weeks before the event, I kind of test it, play with it, that kind of stuff. So WebScorer is something that you need to do a couple times. Virginia Cycling has an account that you can log into. Does everybody have that username and account that's on here?
I had it at one time, but I'm not sure I still have it.
Okay. If you can see my screen, it is. So there's been a change. You probably had it when it was Ruth's email at Virginia EDU.
Yep, that's right.
It is now changed to Eric Crandell's email, because he uses it a lot for the cyclocross series. So just sign in as that username.
Right.
And it is the same password.
I'm gonna do a screenshot of that.
Yeah.
All right, got it.
Perfect. Okay. So that's how you sign in on your device. If you have an iPad, you have an iPhone, something like that, there is a certain number that's, it's limited to however many devices, but, let's get signed in and see, you need to have it so that you can get familiar with it. Now, a couple things that you may not have thought of, but for WebScorer and any event that I am, chief judge, chief ref, the first thing I do is when I'm talking with the promoter is I ask them. Now remember, this training is on WebScorer, but I'm going to talk about Bikeridge for a second. A lot of the events are pre-registration on Bikeridge.
Right.
When I get one of those chief positions at an event, I email the promoter and I ask to be added to Bikeridge as a data download person. When you go into Bikeridge, if you go to your events, you can go to the dashboard and you can add people. You can give somebody full access, which means have access to all the financials, or you can add somebody as a data download person. And that's what I ask for, just so I can extract the data in case I need it. I don't have access to any financials of their thing, but that's pretty helpful. So
Mhm.
the most recent time trial I did was the Conquer the Canal time trial, and what's cool about that is that I can go in here. He's added my account that's on Bikeridge. Now you have to go ahead into Bikeridge. You know, if you've ever been an event director, you have to set up an event director account. But once that's set up, that's the account that you have added, you know, to Bikeridge. And what's cool is if they do that, you know, a month before, you can log in and you can see registration grow. And you can also see registration grow over time, you know, from other events. Rocktown is in Harrisonburg. Here I can see in 2018 they had 146 participants. In 19 they had 161. So, you know, it's just cool historical data, but it also allows you to download the data to be able to get to it. So that's one of the tips. Like if I go into the Conquer the Canal, I can see all kind of cool demographics. You know, how many people were in the Merc class, how many people were in the Cat 5 class. You know, gives you a kind of a heat map of where people are, their age, all that kind of stuff. And of course, you can download the data. So once you've downloaded the data, you can do stuff with it. Now, I bring this up because this, and everybody knows Max, and he's not any different than any other promoter. But the day before the event, you know, you always tell the promoter, says, email me, you know, once you close registration, assign the bib numbers, assign the start times, and email me that in an Excel file so that I can put it in the WebScorer. So you wait around, you wait and wait and wait. And then finally, and I'm not just picking on Max, but Max emails you and says, hey, Rob, here is the start times on the attachment. Now, can anyone notice anything wrong with this email? There's no attachment.
Right.
You know? So always, no, it's not just Max, it's every promoter. Here's the attachment. And then so you got to reply, wasn't an attachment, you know. So then let's see, that was at 7:54. Then finally at 8:31, here's the attachment. So then you finally have it. So that was great. So you can start with the attachment. Here's the attachment. We've got the bib numbers. We've got the start time, which is good. We've got youth. We've got the first name and last name. So that's all you need to start with. But, you know, another handy thing is when you have the data that you can download the raw data from Bikeridge, you know, you can look at more data. Like here is the USAC license number, which may be important to have. That's their category. But here's something I'm pointing out. He had two riders who were in the 17 to 18 class, and their age as of December 31st was 19 years old. So the list that he gave me did not have their age. He just put them in that class. You know, us as officials, we want fair competition. You know, this was something I brought up to the chief ref, and we put them in another class. But you know, when you have the data, you can do more stuff with it. You know, if you needed the USAC license and everything. Anyways,
Robert. There's another good reason for having the data is that occasionally, you know, not every time trial, but some of them are designated as the state championship. And if you only hold a one-day license, you're not really even though you might have won the event, you're not qualified for a medal.
Absolutely, yeah.
You do have the option of buying the license on the spot and getting the medal if you want to, you know, put up to $50-$60 for the license. But so that's important to have that one-day version over there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. But bunch of great reasons for that. You know, also, I'm glad you brought that up. You know, I guess the address is not in here, but state champion, you have to be from Virginia too, so you'd have but yeah, just having access to that data on the front end, because the promoter doesn't always give you everything, they try to give you the least amount,
Right.
but it's always good to have that. So once once the promoter sends you the file, then so the file will look like this. So I went with the file that he sent me, and it doesn't have the USAC numbers, it doesn't have the distance, and it doesn't have if it's a male or female. But I just use this anyways. Anyways, here's what the file looks like. Now, what you want to do is you basically want to get this into WebScorer, and let me, there's this, where is WebScorer? Right there. Okay. So of course you go to the WebScorer site, you log in, we've talked about the site and the password, and you go to organizers, and you go to my start list. So we're the organizer, and we're uploading a start list. So here's the start list, and this is the start list that we used for the event. Now, if you hit X, you delete it. Try not to delete anybody else's stuff. If you do put something up there, and I encourage you to, go ahead and upload some things, but name it something. I might name it Rob Test, thing or something like that. But try not to give it a valid name unless it's an actual complete start list, and then give it the name of the event, the date, the logo, all that kind of stuff. But if we were to upload a start list from scratch, we would go to post start list from file, and here we would choose the file, we would enter the race information, and we'll do all of that in just a second. But with this file right here, there's not enough information, and the fields don't exactly match. Like you can see, like here's bib, so that's of course going to map to the bib field. Start time is good, but there's no, this category here, first name and last name. Okay, yeah, so we're probably good with that. But if you're unsure of what the fields need to be named, you can download sample start list files. And here's a sample start list. You can download the Excel file. This is a sample start list for individual races. So that's been downloaded. I can open it up in Excel. So this is the column headers that WebScorer is looking for. You don't have to put something in every field, but you have to, the name of the field has to match something. We got name, which would be like, somebody's full name, first name, last name, team name 2, which you can do whatever you want to, gender. So like if we had a column named sex, that wouldn't upload to WebScorer. It has to be gender, age. Okay, so here's distance, category, bib number is bib, so that's good. And then here's a new field that they just put in, bib alphanumeric. Like if we ever get into, alphanumeric A101 kind of bib stuff, which would be crazy. Start time, predicted time. I don't know how that works in our kind of events. I don't think that's necessary. Handicap, ship ID, all this stuff. So they do have info 1, 2, 3, and 4, and email. Now you can tell that they don't have like USAC number, USAC category, those kind of things. So any of those fields that you want to put in, you just put it under info 1, info 2, info 3, info 4, and that kind of stuff. So you can use those as other ones. So so this all data here is just kind of made up fictitious number. email, so you can get rid of that. Oh, enable editing. Okay, so here's a good import that we have. You know, we want to get name, team name. Probably we don't need team name 2. So we can delete that. We're not doing alphanumeric bibs, which would be a pain. We're not doing any of this. So this is a pretty good, you know, Excel spreadsheet with column headings that's going to match what we're going to use. Now, if we've got this data here, okay, so let's just take the bib numbers all the way down to here, copy it, put it into here. So let's take the start time. And put it into start time. We've got the category. And you want to, you know, double check yourself. Categories there, cool. Then we've got name, first name and last name. So that's first name and last name. So we can copy both of those columns at the same time, which will be quicker. First name and last name. Now, if we wanted to put in, you know, the USAC license number, we would put that under something like info 1. We could put category, we could put 1-day license, or, you know, the license status, active or expired, or 1 day, something like that, somebody's email. But that's basically all we need. Like, if he didn't give us the gender, you know, so we would have to look that up. But from here, now we can do a save as, and let's just name this, I'm just naming this Rob test file. And let's see if that imports. So we go back to WebScorer and we do choose file. And I completely forgot where I saved that file. Okay, cool, it's in downloads. So here's Rob's test file. If I hit upload, then this will bring it in. Now you notice that it named the name of the race, Rob test file. It's the dumb name of the race. So we could just do Rob test race. All right. Now it's important to do the map location. So if we just choose some place on the map, I'm just going to use my address. Okay. The reason why this is important is because when you're posting live results, you can just tell somebody, hey, the live results are on WebScorer. They go to WebScorer, and by location, they'll show them the closest race to where they are, and that's how they can find it. You know, then you put in the date of the race, which let's say this is for tomorrow. You know, what time is the race? 8 o'clock, all that stuff. Finish meantime. This is a cycling. I guess they don't have time trial. Okay, so then this is important. Start time is interval. If we were at a, you know, cyclocross, we would either do mass or wave. You know, I think we would want to do wave because you know how there's usually 3 waves every race. But for this one, we want to do interval, number of races per interval, and this race was started at 30 seconds per person. All right, I'm going to just do this private just because it's testing. And, you know, so the rest of this stuff you can put in, you know, I would have put Max's name there and Fat Frog's website there and done a different logo and all that kind of stuff. But, so that's basically what we do. And we hit post. And it's done. So that was pretty simple. Sometimes when you go through that process, it's very good about telling you if there's any problems. You know, if there's a name that truncated, you know, if there was, you know, something wrong with it. But you know, so this is complete, and we can go through and we can see, you know, the Cat 5 men, they're in there, the start time, all that stuff, and it's good. So that's basically how to take the data, how to massage it, you know, and the big key there is to make sure that the column heading match what WebScorer wants to import it as, and you know, you don't have to have something in every column, you just have to have most of them. Now, what you do from here is then you go to the device. So what I've done is instead of like trying to do the device on my camera here, I've just done screenshots of the device. So you go to you got to download the app, you got to log in with it, but once you bring the app up, now if you're logged in properly, it's going to say WebScorer Pro. Okay, if you just download it, there's a free version that says like WebScorer, WebScorer Basic, or something like that. You want it to look like this. You would click Race with Start List. Okay. Now this download race you may want to do if you like say you're going to be somewhere in the woods, you don't have internet, you can download it the night before and it's on your device, you know, which is a cool thing to do. But we're just going to assume that you have a connection to internet. We're going to click Race with Start List. And we're going to use download start list from webscorer.com because that's where we posted it. And you want to do my start list because we put it into my start list there. It's going to show you a couple of ones that you posted. You know, these were ones I did for the screenshot before. You click on this little arrow right there, that downloads it, brings it into your phone. You can edit the race name at this point if it's not the right name. This I set it to 1 minute, you know, just through testing. But you know, if it ends up being 30 seconds, you'd want to change that to 30 seconds. I've never clicked this simpler interface. Or I don't know what that looks like. I just don't click that. So this was when I did this. This is assuming that we would have had multiple distances in the file that we uploaded. You know, the promoter didn't send that. I could have put it in there, but we went without it. But you know, if you had multiple distances, you could put it like that. That makes you have a distance for each participant. You know. So we chose 3 and 6 miles, which were the distances for that. Now these are required for each racer. So like we did not have gender in that file. So you would not want to turn gender on because before the race starts, you'd have to go through on your phone and tell if everybody's a male or a female, you know. So the more stuff you leave off, you know, you want to have it match. Like we had category, bib number, bib type, and name, and that's what you want. You know, if you have a race and you only have bibs, you don't have somebody's name, you'd want to turn that off. These are some added features that we don't have. They'd be cool if you have chip timing, that kind of stuff, but I just leave those off. I think some of those features require a higher level subscription. All right. I've never changed any of this stuff. Maybe team scoring, if that's a thing, you could turn that on, but it would be something we could experiment with. Okay, so
Could
yes.
you back up a second? I got the list, I got the race, but how did you get to hardware setup?
Well, this is just once you download. I'm just the next thing that you do here is you click hardware setup.
Okay, I didn't have that. So you continue with, because I had lap on mine. It has lap setup.
Oh,
Not
okay.
hardware setup.
Did you choose record lap time?
No, I didn't choose anything. I just downloaded the race and it came up with the same thing that you had: interval, maximum races per interval, 30 seconds. And so the next option or the next page would be lap setup. And then it goes to racer setup.
All right.
Oh, I have to keep going. Ultimately, it got there.
Okay, cool.
All
Yeah.
right.
Now, you know, like I said, if we're doing a cyclocross, you want to do record lap times, you know, but this is a time trial, so we're not doing that. Okay, so then you choose the distance required for each rider. We don't have any of these features enabled, so that's okay. We have this. This was, at least for my sample data, this is what this looks like. What you're doing, if you're doing it live, you're probably going to have something a little bit different. We got the start list, and then we get to this point. So let me bring this up real quick, and we could just take a second. Andy's been texting me, and he wants me to let him in. So let me see if I can figure out how to do that. So just hang on a second. I'm gonna. All right, cool. All right. So if we go on this, and I just want to start this. So if we go WebScorer, download, posted start list, Rob's test race, yeah, lap setup, racer setup, hardware setup, category setup, start list. Okay. So as we can, and I don't know if there's too much glare on this, but you see the first racer goes off at 7:45. Okay. So let me see if I can bring this up. So in this case, the first racer goes off at 8 o'clock. So let me, so that is,
If you go to
you know,
if you go to share, you can share your device. That's an option further down in share.
well, I'm on my computer here though. I'm not on.
That's right.
I'm not on
It
the
will pick it up from your phone. It'll Bluetooth it.
Really? How does it do that? Share content?
I'll show you. You might have to do it with a cable. You got to do it with a cable.
Oh, okay.
And Zoom, you can do it on Bluetooth.
Oh man, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go back here. Let's see. All right. So at this point, so let's say you are at the event, and let's say it is 7:30, and you've got, you've got your finish line judge device, and you've got your starter judge device, and you want to sync them all. What you do is you use this race clock adjustment. And if you want the race to start at, 8 o'clock and the current time is 7:30, you put race clock adjustment for 7:30, and you're doing that like at maybe, 7:28, 7:29, and then you can sit there and put this at 7:30 and everybody synchronized with their stopwatches and everything, and right at, 7:29 and 59 seconds, and as soon as it goes to 7:30, you push start. If you push that on all the events, then they're in sync, or they're at least in sync, pretty close, But that's how you start the countdown. If you just hit start, it's not going to be, you need to adjust the race clock. This doesn't really mean it starts at 8 a.m. It means that it starts 8 hours after you hit start. So if you wanted to start at 8 a.m., and it's 7:30, start your clock at 7:30, then it'll count down 30 minutes and start at 8 o'clock. But if you're just testing and you're just playing with it, we can go race clock adjustment and put this for 7 hours and 44 minutes. See, so I've got my race clock adjustment to 7 hours and 44 minutes, and I can hit start, and now the next racer is going to start in 1 minute. So just for playing with it, that's why you got the race clock adjustment. I can sit here, I can watch it count down, I can listen to it beep and start the riders, and but the day of the event, you want to put time of day there, get everybody in sync. But what I like to do is I like to have, an iPad, and I give that, like in this case, I give it to Tom, or he used his phone. We sat there 15 minutes before the event, got everything started at the same time. It was within time. Now he's able to sit there and let riders go, because it has the name, it's got the number. He doesn't need to worry about having a clipboard and stuff. It'll beep, and then the rider will go. And then, I'm sitting there, and I can also hear beeping, so if you're further down the road and I hear this thing beep, which means a rider just left, and I'm like 2 minutes down the road, then that kind of lets me know to get the volunteers out of the way. Someone will be coming through, hauling butt, that kind of stuff. All right, so the rest is, pretty simple for time trials. Now, if I were to I'm going to just finish this race so that I can restart it. So if I want to demonstrate how to finish the race, I'm going to do race clock adjustment, and I'm going to put it for 10 hours, and start. And then the majority of the riders are started, So when you go to this screen, and I'm sorry if it's a little blurry, but you've got this screen. This is all the riders who have started, who are out on the event, so we're thinking that this event has already gone on for 2 hours. And, basically what we do is we have somebody down the road with a radio, and they say, rider 337, 337, approaching. And then I know that there's a rider coming in. When they come by the line, I tap that number, and then that rider's finished. You know, um, there's a couple other things you can do. You can do what's called fast tap view, which gives you one big button right there. So what you do is when, like, say 4 riders come by at the same time, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. That records 4 times, but no bib numbers. So then you go, oh, that was bib 340, 341, 342, 343, you know. Then a couple more people come by and you go tap, tap, tap. 3 people just finished. Then you go behind and get their numbers. So a couple ways to do that. And you know, also what's cool is that you can do show name and you can see the rider's name, you know. So this is another really good thing to give to an announcer, you know, especially at a cyclocross, because an announcer can go, hey, you know, here comes, you know, so and so, you know, they can look up the riders as they're around, you know. So that's pretty cool. So here's another really important thing. When you're setting up the event, there is a live results way that you can do that. So as soon as you tap here, I think every 10 seconds it posts the results. You know, as soon as you tap, the results are up. If you're telling everybody, you know, check for the results on WebScorer, they're up there, they're able to see the live results, everything's cool. The promoters, the people at registration like this a lot because people aren't always going, where are the results? Where are the results? You know, we lost the sheet or somebody wrote the wrong number down or something like that. All that kind of stuff. So, cool stuff. What I basically do is at the end of the race, there is a finish, there's a race control button. There's a little stop. That actually finishes the race and stops it. I don't ever finish that until pretty much I'm in the car driving home. You know, when you finish a rider, that's their result. And then if, you know, the starter comes back to you and says the guy went 5 seconds early, you know, you can still edit those results. You know, the moto comes up and says the guy was drafting, you know, while the race is going, it's very easy on this device to add time, subtract time, whatever you want to. And that's something that Ruth taught me. She's like, you know, don't ever, you know, finish the race, you know, wait till the final podium and then finish the race and get it going there. Because it leaves you a lot of flexibility and stuff. But yeah, these results, you know, so just for the couple sample people, you know, the already results there, it's posting live, you know, it's pretty cool. So if I went to, you know, this first person there, Adam, there's a little green arrow right next to it. I can tap that and I can edit his time. So if he, you know, was drafting or whatever thing you needed to add time or you needed to subtract time or whatever, you know, he left 5 seconds early, you can put it right there and that immediately updates. You know, if he had first place and you added 5 seconds, then whatever place he's in. So it's pretty cool. You know, like I say, when I get assigned to time trial, I play with this a lot. I do it. You have to do it a lot more than just, you know, the night before to get comfortable with it. But it's pretty effective. Anybody have any questions over this or comments?
How do you get access to bikeridge.com?
All right. So what you have to do is like in Bikeridge, as you can see, I have 2 accounts for Bikeridge. I have one that I use when I register for an event as just like a normal person. And then I've gone in there and I've set up an event director account. So if I log off of Bikeridge, let me just, okay, if you just go to Bikeridge and you're not signed in, you've got 2 different ways to sign in. You can sign in as the event director, or a participant. So you have to go ahead on the front end and create an event director account. Then what I do is when I get assigned to whatever event, if I'm the chief judge or chief ref, I talk to the promoter, because the promoter has already set up a Bikeridge account, and that's where they're collecting all their registrations from. And I say, hey, I've been assigned to your event. Could you add me as a data download person on your event? Okay. So what they go into is they go into like their event, and there is a way to add somewhere here. Maybe I can't do this, but this download, I think it's under here. I don't know, maybe it's not, but there's ways that you can add, yeah, right here, additional users. So what they would do, the promoter goes into advanced additional users and adds you as a timer data download. That's exactly what it says.
Okay.
So then all you have access to is download the data. So that's all you want, because you don't want to, be responsible for refunds and payments and all that stuff. But when they let you have that, especially if it's a race that's in your hometown that you work every year, it's cool because you can go into the last couple of years and you can say, well, this race is getting bigger. Maybe I'm going to need another official. Download the data for tons of reasons. So pretty much any event that I get assigned, I use your request for that, and they could add as many people as you have, but you just have to have that kind of an account already there, and then it all gets in there. But it's super helpful.
Okay. So other than time trials, it seems to me you're going to need chips to use this, for any kind of finishes, because people coming in big groups, like a crit or any race, that group crossing the line is more than 3 or 4 people. It
Yeah.
would be very difficult to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you can see, I use this a lot for cyclocross, especially go-cross. That's a big race. But so for go-cross specifically, there was me and Andy and Avenel, and this is go-cross 2020. And we are, at the event with our, notebooks and writing down hand scoring. We were not doing live, WebScorer every time somebody went through, because that's, because once you get one person wrong, everything goes downhill from there. We would hand score, and then when the event's done, I would take my WebScorer, and instead of filling out the result form where you just write down the number, is I would go into WebScorer, I would bring up that race, I would adjust the race clock to, like, if it was a 45-minute race, I'd say 45 minutes, boom. So it looks like the race lasted for 45 minutes. And I'd go, first place, second place, third place, and I'd go down through all 50 participants and then post it. And then that's done. And I can do that quicker than, filling out one of the final results sheets. And then, I get on the microphone, tell the announcer results are on WebScorer, and, that starts the 15-minute time. Now, if it's a really complicated race where there's, it's Cat 5 and there was 5 laps and there's people 3 and 4 laps down, I might use WebScorer and do, the results sheets from every lap, because that'll then calculate whose laps down and stuff. And I've done that a lot of times before. But, you have to have this data uploaded beforehand. And, of course, cyclocross, you always got, the day of event people, the people who are registered for 1, 2, 3, and they want to race 3, 4 because they're sandbagging it, all that kind of stuff. So those are the kind of things that you have to edit, but it's still handy, and I think there's a COVID requirement where it's got to be posted online somehow, and this is a pretty easy way to post it online. Now, a smaller race like Dardentow, yeah, as long as somebody's hand scoring, I'm going to do, web scoring. After the first lap, everybody's split up, fields are small, and then the participants get to see their lap times, and they like that a lot too. But yeah, big races, I just use it just straight for results.
So I guess you have to have a pretty active area like Mid-Atlantic where you could afford to have the setup for the chip receivers. I mean, the chips are cheap, but the
Yeah,
antennas and the structure looks like it runs about $5,000.
yeah, yeah. There are, yeah, for chip timing and that kind of stuff, that's usually a different system. There's, um, Mickey, everybody know Mickey Denicourt? He's out in Roanoke, Franklin County, but he's a race promoter and does a lot with collegiate races, but he's also selling zone chip systems, and it's pretty cool because those chips have a little GPS in them, and you can have a live map and you can see everybody going around the map at the same time. It's pretty cool. He demoed that to me one time, and but it is expensive, So it's kind of like you race any Mabra race, where there's 600 plus people. They have a chip timing, person set up, and they're either using cameras or they're using chips or they're using something, and then the officials, we're backup for if they're failed. And I have been at GoCross 2, maybe 3 years ago, where the per chip timing system totally failed flat out. They couldn't get anything right. And, it was me and Andy and Beth and a couple other officials, and we were hand scoring everything, and we just kept doing that. We didn't use WebScorer. Definitely time trials, WebScorer is great to do. Um, cyclocross, especially because how wet it is. I mean, I was working an event with Ruth one time, and she had her iPad, and a drop of water landed on the iPad, and it DNF'd like a whole line of people. Just the water running down. So you're gonna have problems with technology. You know, I never use WebScorer unless I know I've got a competent person hand scoring. Because that's always the fallback go-to. But it is helpful to get the results out and get them posted online, post event or something like that. All right. So does that sound cool?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys get assigned to something, let me know. I'd be glad to walk you through getting it set up so it can be successful. And let's just hope we get some more events on the calendar. So.
Yeah, I
All
think
right,
it's like any kind of software. You just it takes some practice. I mean,
yeah,
any spreadsheet or building a website or something like that, you do it for a while, but then like we've had this big delay now with no racing and everything, and I go back into something that I was fairly familiar with a year ago, and it takes me a while to kind of remember how to do it. So
yeah,
same, it'd be the same with this, and I have very little experience with this, but it just if you did it, like for example, you go down to Florida and Tim down there, he used to be a racer up here, protege of Ruth's, Tim Molyneux, who runs that race, most of that racing down in Florida, and he's got an experienced set of a crew down there that just shows up at every race, and they're the people that they can do charge accounts on the fly, like when you walk in a restaurant or a shop or something like that, they can do, you know, but the same people show up. Of course, I guess he's paying them, and it's like a crew, and so they've got that experience, and you know, everything goes smoothly. But
Yeah.
the one, you know, kind of our volunteer system, you know, like I suppose like volunteer systems all around the world, whether you be a fireman or whatever, you're not doing it all the time, and you've got, like you say, you better practice before
Right.
the day of the race, or else you might be in big trouble.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and
Or
there's
you know, like it, you know, it was great, you know, that you were there and Tom was there. You know, he shows up and his car locks itself, right?
yeah,
Somebody else might have panicked right then, you know,
yeah.
and but he had his phone in his hand, and you guys were experienced, and you pulled it off, you know. So that was great. And we did get his car open eventually.
Yeah.
So,
All right,
all right.
cool. Well, hey,
Thanks
great.
thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Take
Glad to
care.
do it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
All right.